Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. The world is conspiring against me. They didn't want me to do this stream. Apparently, I had so many problems. It's funny, but like my alarm didn't go off, and then the lights weren't working. Uh, OBS was claiming it was weird. Okay, hey, we're okay. We got some big news coming up. We got the PCE and personal income that I don't think that everybody quite is prepared for, like how significant this news could potentially be. So, anyways, we come into the news. You can see S&P 500 did pretty good yesterday and is extending some of its gains, and the treasuries are back down towards the bottom of its range, but they have not extended yet. Although this PCE, if it is bad, could certainly move them outside of the range. Oil doing pretty good. Natural gas actually was kind of breaking out, but now in the overnight has come back down again. What's with that? And silver and gold did pretty good yesterday. Is copper, although copper's coming back in the overnight. And when we come over to the currencies, the dollar below 96 finally. Man, that took forever. And then Bitcoin still kind of in doldrums. Oh wait, that's yeah, they're still kind of in the doldrums, but they have come back a little bit. So we give them credit for that. All right. I don't know what the deal. Why does it always come back like that? That's so weird. Okay. So, we good? We good? I'm good. You good? Let's make sure that we got our squawk going. Okay, so for the numbers, here in about a minute, we're going to get the U.S. initial jobless claims looking for a reading of 205K. Now, I expect that number is probably going to be just fine. I wouldn't be surprised if it's below 200,000. Okay, but then we've got personal income month over month. This is an important number. We're looking for a reading of spot 5. Anything higher than spot 5, or sorry, spot 4. Higher than spot 4 would be really bad for the treasuries. And then US core PCE price index spot 4, if that is higher than expected, that is really going to move the treasury market. Okay, so I am seeing a little bit of pulling on the DOM here, but nothing excessive like you would normally see. They might not pull until like just before it happens though. Okay, so let's be careful with that. Good morning, Gus. All right, that's a little bit more of a serious pull. Though the micros are not pulling. Oh, now they are. For durable goods was pretty high. Okay, jobless claims 205. Still waiting on the PCE. Personal income was in line. Okay. So US durable goods was high. That's the big outlier that I'm seeing here. Consumer spending was in line spot 6 for 6. Income was in line spot 4 versus spot 4. But PCE price index, core PCE price index was spot 5 versus spot 4. So I think it's slightly negative to the treasuries. But like most of the things came in line. Most of the things came in line. This is only slightly bad for treasuries, I think. Let's see how this sorts out. But it's a US durable goods seems to be the thing that is most out of line. So I'm not really seeing the dollar moving a whole lot on it though. The treasury certainly moved there. Hmm. Okay, well, just the initial move here doesn't seem to be what I would have liked. Oh. It kind of makes me wonder if they're gonna try and do this buy the treasuries all day sort of thing like they have been doing. Although it might be again like yesterday where they you get a pretty solid move up and then just it actually reverses on you and ranges a lot. Yeah. Yeah, that was not quite that was a little odd. I mean, there was definitely some trade and fight over it, but yeah, and now it's going higher. Hmm. Hmm. So let's come back here. Am I missing something? Core PCE Spot 5 versus Spot 4. Core Durable Goods orders Spot 8 versus Spot 6. Durable Goods orders 2 Spot 5 versus 1 Spot 9. And then personal income month over month in line, personal spending month over month in line, and unemployment claims 205, which depending on which one of these things you're looking at was slightly higher than expected, but not really. 205 versus 200. But the treasuries moved up. Hmm. It's like if the numbers that come out aren't absolutely dismal, the treasuries rally. It's freaking weird. Well, I'm a little disappointed, but I'm getting some flattening coming in too. Ooh. PSA: If your art has been stolen by somebody on OpenSea and OpenSea doesn't honor your request, there's a workaround. They host their images through Google. You can therefore take down NFTs through Google's automated system here, and they give the link to do it. Oh, that's funny. Nicholas. Nassim Nicholas Taleb. The problem with nitpickers is that if you engage them to argue about nitpicking, they nitpick even that. Yeah. Yeah. This is like actually a decent amount trading up here too in the treasuries. I don't know, guys. What is odd? It's like they're reading like if there's not something inflationary in it, then it's bad for the treasuries because they think that there's going to be a slowdown in the economy. That's like the only. Well, how much was it? It was like 10,000 contracts long in the treasury too. It was like a decent amount of treasuries going long there. I don't know, guys. This is super weird. It's super weird. I really think it should be going the other way. Hmm. The micros are pretty thick right now. What's with that? Hmm. Well, we're getting some pushback on that move now. Let's see how it sorts out. My eyes are watering like crazy. I woke up, I go to the bathroom, um, I come back, I go back to so here's the well, there's actually more to this story. The child the child has been keeping us up. So I'm like, "No, no, we're today we're like making sure that he goes through on a good schedule. He's gonna go to bed on time. We're gonna put him to sleep. He's gonna be asleep before 9 o'clock." So we do that, and who was hardcore, and he went to sleep, man. He was just out. We went to go and look at Christmas lights, and he was just out. He could not he could not survive very long in the dark car. So he's asleep, nobody to bother us out. So I slept like a rocket. It was great. It was the best night's rest I'd had in a week or two. And so then I wake up to go to the bathroom. Um, and I get back in bed and it's like, yeah, it seems like, I should maybe it's either like a lot earlier than I thought or like my alarm didn't go off. So I'll go and I look at it and it's like 6:30. So like I slept in a whole hour. Well, not an hour, it was like 45 minutes, 30 minutes, right? So then I just come down here. But then when I come down here, like, first of all, my lights didn't want to turn on because the plug was a little loose. So that was kind of weird. And then I start up OBS. OBS claims that my one of the files that it uses is gone, but it was there. Like the file hadn't moved, so I don't know what was with that. And then I still had NinjaTrader in like my development workflows, so I had to switch that all up. Like nothing started up when I turned the DOM on. It was like, wow, market really doesn't want me to trade today, does it? Hmm. Morning laser eye. Okay, so that initial move up seems to have abated. It was a lot of contracts though. I'm like, I'm a little weirded out by this. And but now that it's come back to 21 half 22, it's just kind of sitting there. The liquidity looks a little odd. The micros, well, it's kind of changed a little bit, but the micros were actually a little thick. Like the 10-year is a little thick there. Ah, okay. So now the sellers make a um maybe a small victory there, so with some contracts going into 21 half. And the S&P 500 here's headed down. Yeah, and they had quite a bit of back and forth there off of that news as well. Hmm. How many crypto projects funded by top venture capital do you think have paid for market manipulation, including but not limited to wash trading? Probably a lot. Let's read this thread. Well, they tried there at 21 and a half, but they did not succeed in that. That resulted in a tick up. There's some evidence that BitClout did. There's evidence that EOS did as well. There have been examples of people being found guilty for wash trading crypto in court. Huh. Lyra coin is lit. Man, that was really short lived. The ZN trade is not live. No, no. No, 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 no. The ZN trade is like Seth's Seth's CTA experiment. So Seth's CTA experiment goes like this. Um, the Seth CTA fund is short treasuries. So you buy Seth's CTA fund because you want to be short interest rates, or you want to be long interest rates, short treasuries, right? So if interest rates collapse here, then Seth's CTA fund is going to take a pretty big hit. But if Seth's CT, if interest rates rise as they should, frankly, stop this nonsense down here, then this is going to make a lot of money. So then the question is like, how much money? And I'm giving myself like, I want to be like on average, long maybe 5 contracts, or sorry, short maybe 5 contracts, maximum 10, and like the maximum loss that I want to take is like 10,000. So I don't know what that would like mean like performance wise for the CTA fund, but it's just kind of an experiment of trying to be short this thing on the long term. So whether I'm right or wrong on it doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is how I manage it. Like if interest rates collapse here, then I want to be lose as little as possible, and if interest rates rise, then I want to make as much as possible on this, right? So I don't know if that made sense, but that's kind of the gist of it. Seeing a little bit of a spread coming in here. Anyways, we've had this trade on now for like 3 days. Like we got in it, well, even further back than that. We've been in it for over a week. So you can see we've got a pretty good position because of that. But okay, so there's the tick back down to 22 is kind of like the spot today. Let's get rid of these eyes. I don't think that those really matter anymore. And this one's gonna be here. Yeah, CTA certified or commodity trading advisor. Yes. But a lot of CTAs are like trend following strategies, which for the treasuries I think is like kind of a little bit of a weird thing. But I haven't done as much investigation about like strategies on the daily. Maybe I should do that. I should try just doing like a standard trend following strategy on a daily basis and see if I can beat the index over a year or something like that. Because like the more that I look at it, the more I'm realizing that like the people that like the professionals in the futures, that's what they're doing is their commodity trading advisor, and they're not like scalping like I do, where you expect, or at least you want to be able to make money every day, right? That's an awfully tough game to play. So why not play a game where it's like, well, we want to give you a certain exposure, and the reason that you come to us is because if you want that exposure, if you want to be long interest rates, I'm going to give you better exposure to it than other people do, right? And if it's wrong, if that asset doesn't go the way that you want, hopefully your losses will be less. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we can start the Seth Ellis CTA fund. It'd be great. It'd be great. We'll become millionaires off of that when we become CTAs. Because I think that's kind of the level we're starting to get to. Okay, wow, they fell down through 21.5, but 21 is kind of starting to look a little vulnerable there. I guess it's only 1,500. That should be like typical and expected, but Supreme Court fast tracks vaccine mandate challenges. I bet you that those. I don't know. Does that mean that they're more likely to shoot them down? Oh, that could be so interesting. We'll hold a special session in just over 2 weeks. So, like, right at the beginning of the year. Anyways, I think if you're futures trading, the longer term goal is become a CTA. So, like, then all of a sudden, it's maybe the way you think about these things changes a little bit, right? We don't necessarily have to pick the direction right. We just have to um, give you the best exposure. So, like, if we're doing a back test, like, say we have our strategy and we do a back test over the year, we should make more from our strategy than you would be if you had gotten in yourself, right? So if the treasuries are up X percent, our fund should be up X percent plus 2 or something like that, right? And if we're down, we the we should be down, X percent plus 2 or something. Like we still want to outperform that index by like 2 points. Because it wouldn't be bad if it was like your leverage. So like if this made 5% in the year and you made 5% this year and then it's down 5% and you're down 7%, then that's bad, right? Or like if it's up 5%, you're up 7% and then it's down 5% and you're down 7%, that just means you're more leveraged. Some people might like that, but it would be even better if you just manage the risk of it better. So here in this situation, we were able to manage ourselves a much better position at the very least. But if this, like right now, if the bottom of this were to fall out, for instance, right, we might need to lever back up again because we don't want to be left behind. The moment, though, it's kind of in a little bit of a range. So I'm more interested in taking the range. Like if we get up to, let's see here. What is the key price I keep looking at? 130.26. Yeah. Let's say 27, then I might maybe my add contracts. But all right, a little bit of eating into 21. I still find this all a little. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but like there was a lot of volume off of the news, and I think that the way that the volume went was the wrong direction. Now it's kind of coming back. The dollar is doing okay here. It's recovered. Well, it never went below 96, and it's recovered 96.1. Um, Something seems wrong here with my. No, that's right. But why is it? Oh, just because it's. Nah, that. Oh, okay. I'm just reading the timestamps wrong. Yeah, okay. I was like, why is Bitcoin showing me the future? Okay, so no decline at 21, but some trade back and forth at 21.5. I'm a little too dialed into it here at the moment, I think. Like I'm reading every tick, and the action that we may be getting here may just be random. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, I don't really see much of anything on Twitter. Uh, yeah, it's like nobody's really talking about all that news that we just got. Let's come over here to look for yeah, initial jobless claims hover at pre-COVID lockdown levels. Fed's favorite inflation indicator spikes to almost 40-year highs. Real spending is flat. Oh, Elon Musk is apparently almost done selling stock, but not quite finished yet. That's funny. European firms warn unbearably high energy costs may spark wave of production slow shutdowns. Mm-mm-mm. Hmm. Let's see here. California and Michigan saw the biggest increases in jobless claims, while Missouri and Pennsylvania saw claims tumble. Ooh, wow. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Time for the emergency stimulus to end is Zero Hedge's uh, conclusion after that. I don't know. It's weird. And you can see they've made now like kind of maybe I would say two kind of attempts at the list, but again, we're like long 8,000 contracts or so right now. And then now it's just kind of going like, "Bleh." I wonder, I don't know. Maybe somebody was covering something there. I don't know. That 22 is staying offered though. It's maybe we should reset things there. And what about the E-mini? E-mini was down a little bit and is recovering. Gold and silver both tried to shoot up off of that news. Oh, that's interesting. So because the interest rates aren't rising, gold and silver are moving up. Maybe we should become a gold and silver CTA because it seems like I don't know if there's something that has the potential to just pop off this in 2022. I think it's going to be gold. It's just that like gold has just not performed the way that we would anticipate lately, has it? It's been really difficult for gold to catch a bid, but I you know, it's been like that for so long. It seems like that if people do pick up on it, if gold does start to make a move, it's going to be a mondo crazy one. You know what I mean? Maybe though it's because Bitcoin. I blame Bitcoin. How we doing here? Looks like people are coming in for the start of the ES. Um, this is definitely like in no man's land right now. Like it seems to me like we're in a key spot, and that like stuff is happening, but like there really isn't. Really isn't. YouTube Finance says yeet. What? Hmm. It is a pretty tight range in the treasury here too. So it is kind of acting like They're just not doing anything. Your new online store, where's your on what do you sell on your online store? You need to go and make those shirts. You need to talk to my brother. I have the idea in my head of the shirt that I want to make. You guys can get it. Yeah, back down to 22. Okay, so there it's definitely just kind of rotating around and not doing much of anything. Not sure why I think that something's going to happen. Am I just crazy? I think I may just be crazy here. Like it seems like it's not really doing much of anything, and that if it does do something, that it might be that the treasuries come up again because like I'm still seeing the volume in the 5 year. Hmm. Hmm. Somebody shoved it there. Maybe this is where it's going to come, and they're going to push it to new heights. Hmm. Like the way that this is acting, it really seems to really feels like somebody is trying to make it happen. You know, just trying to make it do something. I must say that move up there, um, it's still I don't know. The volume is definitely all long, so it would be a little weird for like a large meta order to come in at this time, I think. Well, actually no. It's been 30 minutes. I don't know. But let's stop trying to assert what it's going to do here and just kind of let it do its thing for a few minutes, huh? I never had breakfast. I'm going to go and get a muffin, okay? Okay, well, there it is sitting at the high. We'll kind of wait and see what it does because um, obviously, if they get back up to that like 26, 27 area, there's going to be some fight there, right? If it breaks out of that, then I'm going to be like, Then I'm really going to be like, yeah, there it is. I just want to know, like, the AMA relative volume right now for the 10-year is like 3 times what it usually is. So like it's suggesting that the 10-year is actually getting some decent volume. The biggest mover today, by the way, is once again soybeans. Also, Ethereum is moving too, although it's moving down. So we might want to keep an eye on that one. What good is ad block if you still get ads? You're talking about you get YouTube ads? I think there are some YouTube ads that you just can't get rid of. I think I'm supposed to have the ability to like insert ads. I don't know how that works. You want to test it? We could test it. Like here, over here, I have like this button that says insert ad. And I don't know if that means that like if we watch things over again, that it will be an ad, or if it means that you guys are all about to get an ad here. We want to try it? Let's try it. Since I'm eating here. Insert ad. Da, 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 da. Okay, are you seeing ads right now? What's it doing? Can you even see me? That would be weird if it like if I went away. Yeah, it must be controls for like when you're rewatching it, it will put an ad there. Which I don't know. Since I started unlisting them, not that many people watch them in replay. But the number of views that my channel gets is still the same. Isn't that interesting? Hmm. Okay, so this is a little odd that the treasury did come back there. The micro yields are not quite where they would be. I didn't spontaneously combust. I just went to go get some water. You know what? I should probably go. I'm going to go and try and put some eye drops in because my eyes just keep watering. Okay. Anyways, also on this pullback, mm, okay, a little bit of decline in the 5 year, but not in the 10 year. So, from what we've been seeing, I'm kind of wondering if this is not just like yield profit taking. You know what I mean? Like somebody's been short the treasuries and they don't want to be short going into the holiday, and so they're taking their position off. That could be the case. Um, if that's what we're gonna do, we would want to remember that the first move would probably be your biggest tranche. So I don't know if that really means we have like a really big play to make here on it. Although maybe we do want to go short rates here. I was kind of looking at it and being like, well, if I'm going to go short rates, I would much rather get it up here in the 68, 70 area than down in here, right? So let's just see how it shakes out. The market maker must know because they're kind of letting it float up. They're not really standing in the way. Okay. Well, I'm wondering. So we still got news today, though, right? We got the consumer sentiment, University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Well, the preliminary consumer sentiment, consumer confidence numbers that we got were good. So I would expect that consumer sentiment would maybe be okay too. But I don't know if that one's really going to be a huge deal for them. And the micros are the interest rates are being a little sensitive here. Hmm. Man, I hate how my eyes are just watering and watering and watering. It's because I didn't take a shower. Mhm. Oh, I missed that Biden tweeted about Omicron. We should be concerned about Omicron, but not panicked. If you're fully vaccinated and boosted, you're highly protected. But if you're unvaccinated, you're at higher risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19, getting hospitalized, and dying. Yeah. Okay. Only if you're old and fat. I'm just saying. That's the science, guys. World Health Director booster shot programs will likely prolong the pandemic. What? I can't watch. It's Forbes. They're giving me the paywall. So liquidity here is pretty unreliable. Yeah. But you can see it's not really trading. Well, I'd like to read that, but I don't see how boosters prolong the. Let's read it on CNBC. Blanket booster programs are likely to prolong the pandemic rather than ending it by diverting supply to countries that already have high levels of vaccination coverage, giving the virus more opportunity to spread and mutate. Okay, so he's saying that instead of doing boosters, that you should be giving those vaccines to poor countries so that they can become immune too. And by not giving them that, they you are in. I see. That makes sense. Not something that I think that any of the countries will heed, though. But I don't think that he was trying to say that boosters will like lead to more mutations and make it worse or something like that. If you're not, well, even if you're immune, you can still catch it. It's kind of seems to me like a really good chance that you'll catch it. You might have caught it, and but if you had the vaccine, you technically would have caught it, but not ever had any symptoms or anything, just because your body knew how to fight it off, right? But this idea that we were gonna stop the virus in its tracks, and it just wasn't going to be able to spread very far. That was a fantasy, that was never gonna happen. Yeah, they're playing this game with us, right? There's not very much trade, so the micro treasuries are placing the spread disadvantageous to us. All of a sudden, okay, now we're willing to go up to 4.68, huh? Yeah, I think you're right, Kyle. Thinking boosters leads to mutations is ludicrous. Mutations happen by chance, so the more the virus replicates, the more mutations and the higher chance of a naturally selected one. So by limiting the virus spread with vaccines, you limit the replications and hence mutations. Yes. I think that some people are saying, well, with you get the vaccine, you would have a higher chance of a mutation that evades the vaccine. And that's probably true, just on a micro scale that, yeah, maybe you're more likely to get a mutation that evades it, but you're going to get less mutations overall. And the effect that the mutations overall has on the system is so much more than any of those other things that any of those other things just like literally don't matter. But that's different if the vaccine is not strong enough that it doesn't prevent people from getting it, right? If the vaccine isn't really limiting the spread so much as it is reducing the number of like if it's not reducing the spread, it's just reducing hospitalizations, then maybe it's a problem, right? I think some people are arguing that the vaccine is just not very effective, but I think that the people that are arguing that just don't understand statistics. Right? Because they say, well, if everybody's vaccinated and we're still having a pandemic, then obviously it doesn't work. And it's like, no, you got to understand how large numbers work. If your chance of being hospitalized goes from you know, 10% down to 0.5%, 0.5% of the US population is still a lot of people. Hmm. So definitely slow here, but the treasuries do seem to be doing something. I think they may be biding their time until another leg of this order, which may come after the S&P 500 opens. Yeah, and actually, a significant reach of the lows there. And actually is significant. So did they just wait for me to get short? Fetch. I'm just not going to touch this here. It does not seem like I can win this game. Oh, dude. Like, I see so much stuff on the internet that is like, I just have a hard time believing that people are that clueless about math and that it's not like some kind of manipulation. Like there was this big one where they were saying, "Oh, like the vaccine is causing stillbirths, and this is the number of stillbirths that have happened in people that have the vaccine." And when you actually go into the statistics of it, the percentage of stillbirths from people that have had the vaccine is lower than the normal percentage of stillbirths that that you get. I'm like, those stats don't mean what you think they mean, boy. And I'm like, are they really that dumb? I don't get it. Well, see, this is where they're going to go, we're going to crash now, Seth. You want to get short the treasuries? And I'm going to go and I'm going to buy this. And then they're going to go back to the lows. Ugh. Look at that. Wow. I still think that was a significant. I'll take you there. Think that was a significant move. Hmm. Oh, I hate it when my feed reloads like that. What causes that to happen? Now I can't see what it was. Well, that's okay. Look, it went there. That's curious. And is the S&P 500 buying on the open? There's definitely some icebergs and stuff going in there. Um, the move so far looks long, but the volume itself is actually quite mixed. Okay. Okay, so 19 is the low of the day. There's some volume coming in there in the 5-year. Okay. So going back and forth at 19.5, and if you getting into the lows. Am I seeing, well, the 6J is moving. So the 6J may be the cause of this move. Gold is falling in sympathy. S&P 500 is just popping off. Hmm. I don't know. On one hand, I'm like, I don't think that people are that dumb about statistics, but at the same time, I also kind of have to remember that most people like don't pay attention in school. Like, you know, they do just enough to get the test done, and then ever after that they forget it. Okay, now we're trading into a new low. Hmm. Well, the true low end of this range is 17. Let's just remember that. The way that it fell though kind of makes you think that that's where it's headed, right? Below that even. Yeah, this doing not so bad in the S&P 500 there. Pretty good. How long is it? About 10 points up so far. Hmm. Okay. It's still pushing. Like oh man. So we are coming up on what is from a technical perspective a key level in the 10-year treasury at 17, right? But they have so much momentum behind them on this move. It really pushed back far. And there does appear to be somewhat of the inverse sine law kind of going on here too, because they just slipped through so quickly. Um, I don't know. Wow, this is now is the 30-year like really cratering? Oh yeah, the 30 year is really cratering. What are the key levels in the 30-year? Oh, the 30-year is right at them. No, no, that's the 10-year. Where's the 30? Okay, so the 30-year is at yesterday's lows, but below yesterday's lows. But from the day before, there was 14 below us. Gotcha. But in the 10-year, it's definitely going to be 17 here, right? And they're trading a lot into it. Clean open. Oh yeah, like you could have just gone long ES and you'd be fine. Yeah, okay. So they just dashed that one at 17. So now it is breaching hardcore. Hmm. Some people on Twitter picking up on the treasuries moving higher or the yields moving higher. Do you think that we could get to one spot five? That seems like a reasonable target, don't you think? And this turned out really ended up running, didn't it? So gold is just cratering here. You see if they find some support at 1800 maybe. The treasuries are still showing pretty strong pressure here. Jeez. Maybe a pause there. That was like the first meaningful backtick on this move, at least at 16 half. There was some sizes 16, but then as soon as they ticked down, they kind of got frightened. So, well, yeah, I'm typically gonna try and hold it, and as long as I continue to see the flow come in, and especially with the way that this thing moved, I mean, it's a significant meta order of some sort that we've got coming through here, right? For one thing, we're only just now coming back to balance on cumulative delta in terms of, before the news. We're also getting very, very strong steepening coming in here. So the yield curve is really moving. And if I come over here to the ZB, like if we're gonna steepen, there's so much more, and we did reach critical levels. So uh, when I come in here and I look at this, and like we've been in that area for like 2 days, you know, like that's a key break. That's the sort of thing that can really turn into a doozy. I mean, it's possible. It's actually pretty good chance. In fact, I'd say that they pause here a little bit. I'm really thinking about just putting a contract right there, but then they'll do that and I'll be like, no, there's still pressure to it. There's still pressure. Now, the S&P 500. Hmm. So the S&P 500 is kind of pulling back a little bit here, right? Yeah, that's a pretty meaningful pullback, I think. I was about to click and I was a little bit too late, and then it come back. Well, as we're seeing this happen, we are seeing the 6J come back a little bit, right? So it sure does feel like just from the perspective of the 10-year, right? There's that one spot five. We've sure been around that one spot five a lot, right? It would be so weird to me to stop half a basis point short of one spot five, and reverse. It's just me. Um, doesn't seem like anything that's really empirical or back tested, but it just would seems weird to me that they wouldn't tag one spot five in the 10-year. You can see the pressure is definitely still there, but maybe a little bit of a hole here at 17. Let's recenter some things here since the spread is really quite extreme. Well, we were right in the end. I'm wondering though why they. I mean, I had an inkling that something was going to happen, right? This whole time I was like, well, I think something's going to happen, but it's acting like it's nothing's going to happen right now. And then it came, and when it came, it just like it fell so quickly. Probably because the flow was in the 6J. I don't know. But it's just weird to me that I thought something was felt so sure that something was going to happen, and I was just like talking myself out of it and everything. And it just makes me wonder, okay, so if there was like a big order, is this just happening just because random chance things happened and people are jumping on the momentum and so on and so forth? Or was somebody kind of toying with it? And if they were doing that, why did they let it play out the way that it did? Is kind of what I'm wondering at the moment. Because the way that this played out was a little weird, don't you think? They were kind of eh, slightly up. Maybe we'll go down. Now we can't do that. We'll go up, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, goodish. You know. Hmm. So what I see right now is there's definitely still some pressure, but there's also very much a liquidity hole here. So let's take one contract off. Usually the smart thing to do is to take at least one contract off in the liquidity hole. If anything, we should be like we could try making some liquidity over here in the 10 year. Could try taking a fill at 17 half. I don't know. The thing is 17 was like the key level we were watching, right? They breached it just a little bit, but now that's kind of become the whole. Wow, what's Rand Paul saying here? He's just tweeted like 20 things. No, it's Festivus today. Oh, okay. Rand Paul did his airing of grievances. I have a lot of problems with you people. And by you people, I mostly mean the petty tyrants who run your local, state, and federal governments. 2021 was a banner year for being a petty tyrant, with them all literally tripping over each other for the dumbest COVID lockdown or mandate idea. Yeah, this is like a big long rant. That was probably should have been like a, an op-ed and not a Twitter thread rant. Hmm. Yeah, I'm feeling it. Like, I feel like my decisions are a little fickle here. I'm just not. I'm just thinking about, okay, so if there's definitely a liquidity hole here, how much risk do we want to hold through it? And like all of a sudden, I'm just like, maybe I don't want to hold risk through it at all. I think the one of the issues I'm struggling with here is that I really can't explain this flow. Oh, that's right. We got news at the top of the hour too. Okay. Let's just take that. Let's take that. We'll let them do the news at the top of the hour. Because overall, I got a good trade. I can be happy with that today. So I took it off. We'll wait for the news. Did everyone outperform the S&P this year? No. In my regular portfolio, I was doing really good for a while. Here, I can show you. I think I can show you. Okay. Uh, uh, uh. Here we go. Come on, show us here. Oh, that's not a very good view. Hmm. I'm just gonna come back over here and show you this one. So you can see here the S&P 500 returned 27.92 and I returned 24.75. Now, probably a better benchmark would be the Russell for me. Russell 3000 year to date return, right? I think that's correct. 9.54%. So I did outperform my benchmark, but I didn't outperform the S&P 500. So I wouldn't say that it's like genius trading or anything like that, but I did pretty good. Now, I had one trade that really made a big difference, right? So could very easily have been different. Could very easily have been different. Okay, well, we took them off here. They are pushing a little bit lower. I do think that this is just the kind of situation where this could just turn into a trend day because it's just I'm a little bit worried about it because I'm not 100% sure where this flow is coming from. It really is kind of out of nowhere, especially since they were kind of toying with us this whole time. And we got news in 5 minutes. So let's just, Try not to get FOMO about it. So if I hadn't have taken it off there, hope that I would have been trying to get out at one spot 5, right? You can see there's a few retail traders there with their orders at that spot. Otherwise, yeah. The news is consumer sentiment. Yeah. So we got University of Michigan consumer sentiment, and the expectation is 70 spot 4 with the previous reading being 70 spot 4. So I think that this number could be good because the earlier in the week we got CB consumer confidence and that was good. So let's just see what it does. We also got natural gas storage in 30 minutes. And that one could also be important. Natural gas has been doing okay. I think that natural gas is moving down this morning because the United States sent a flotilla of natural gas boats over to Europe to help them out. So maybe that's why. Because yesterday it was starting to look like a little dire, didn't it? But because natural gas has kind of been in the spotlight a little bit lately, that natural gas storage number at 830 could be important. Well, let's just see. Another thing is, we don't know what the flow is. Well, what are some of our theories? Well, I think my best theory is that it is currency moves. Because the 6J moved when this happened, and the initial flow was actually quite light, and it just kind of ticked down 2 or 3 ticks really easily. That kind of suggests to me a currency move when it's just like the robots move it, and the flow isn't there. But theory number 2 is front running consumer sentiment. But the problem is that if it's just like the 6J and like pre-holiday rebalancing moves, that doesn't necessarily mean like a trend day to me, It just means there's a certain amount of money that will need to be moved, and I have no clue how much that is. And it will go until they're done. Trudeau has decimated Canada's natural resource sector since he's taken over as prime minister. 200 billion worth. Yeah. I tell you what, in Canada, like the divide in the United States between rural and like the coasts and everything, it's pretty extreme. But in Canada, it's insane, right? Like in Canada, it wouldn't surprise me one bit to see Quebec go and become its own country, and the rest of Canada decide to join the United States or something like that. Like the people in Alberta want nothing, and it's just like their incentives, and they're diametrically opposed. They're like diametrically opposed, and I don't think that the people in Alberta are going to put up with that forever. They going to trade one spot 5 finally? Nope, nobody hit it yet. Awfully close though. And again, I want to point out, by the way, like the rates, because we're getting steepening, the 10-year is like being really sensitive. So the 10-year yield is being really sensitive. I'm like all freaking out here, but like I'm fretting over $10. I'm getting all FOMO over $10. I'm really glad it because when that happened and I was at 475, I was remember all I was saying about they're gonna get in here, I'm gonna go long, and then they're gonna flip it back down again, and I don't know if I could win this game, but then I did it, and I did it with 2 contracts, and I'm not sure I can explain why, but it was the right decision. I just that's that quality of reading order flow that is kind of hard to put a finger on why it okay. Okay, so the consumer sentiment numbers coming in here. Okay, so the consumer sentiment was slightly better than expected. Only slightly. 70 spot 4. Oh, what was the inflation expectations they got here? 4 spot 8 versus a previous reading of 4 spot 9. Well, there's a little bit of pulling in the market for that, but nothing's happening here. That kind of suggests to me. Oh, do we have a bell auction? How come I did not have that one on my calendar? Hold on. It's a 4-week bill auction. Treasury is pulling back there a little bit more dramatically. So let's just hold here for a second. I think I made the right decision by taking all of the risk off before the news. Now it's kind of chopping around. I'm not quite sure what it's doing here. Okay, so there's the bill auction. Oh dear, Coldplay announces that they will stop recording in 2025. Oh no, a whole 4 more years of Coldplay after a solid 30 years of them. Wow. Coldplay really has been around for a long time, haven't they? Oh yeah, by the way, new home sales for 744 versus 770 was the other thing. So, I don't know. Maybe that movement was bets on the news. I don't know. What the heck? My gosh. Okay, this is from Reuters. A Japanese professor has developed a prototype lickable TV screen that can imitate food flavors, another step towards creating a multi-sensory viewing experience. The device, called Taste the TV, uses a carousel of 10 flavor canisters that spray in combination to create the taste of a particular food. The flavor sample then rolls on a hygienic film over a flat TV screen for the viewer to try. So it sprays it and then it rolls across the screen and then you can lick that. Okay. You see people licking these screens. I could just picture you're at, the store. Oh, there's a new flavor. I wonder what that tastes like. And then there's the screen. Here you get this line of people licking the screen. Oh yeah, that's good. I think I could get some. The people and especially the Japanese, man, the things that the Japanese come up with, those people, they are brilliant people. Let me tell you what. Okay. Anyways, in the COVID-19 era, this kind of technology can enhance the way people connect and interact with the outside world. The goal is to make it possible for people to have the experience of something like eating at a restaurant on the other side of the world, even while I don't think that looking at a screen is going to be quite the same. And here's some pictures of people. Oh man, look, it's like a big device. It's like a big device. Here's somebody licking a screen. Okay, so if there was a company that was starting out, IPO today, Taste the TV, TTTV, would you buy that stock? I'm going to say probably not, but potential applications include distance learning for sommeliers and cooks and tasting games and quizzes. No, why would that make any sense? Okay. Miyashita has also been in talks with companies about using his spray technology for applications like a device that can apply a pizza or chocolate taste to a slice of toasted bread. He also hopes to make a platform where tastes from around the world can be downloaded and enjoyed by users, much like music is now. One Meiji student demonstrated TTTV for reporters, telling the screen she wanted to taste sweet chocolate. After a few tries, an automated voice repeated the order and the flavor jet spritzes a sample onto a plastic sheet. It's kind of like milk chocolate, she said. It's sweet like chocolate sauce. Good freaking grief, guy. That was okay. The Pit Chicago, do you have a gambling addiction? Yes? No. I'm not sure. What's your definition of gambling? Let's say yes. I have a trading addiction for sure. For sure. Well, but then the other question is, how disruptive to your life does it have to become until it's considered clinically considered an addiction? Jonah Jorian and market rebels leading thousands of tweets after receiving a warning letter from the FTC regarding profit claims and testimonials. Cool. Hey, by the way, you've been watching this thing with Kathy Wood, where she's like, I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Korea. Dude, if this pandemic thing wasn't a thing, I would totally already be at Korea. Totally would have visited Korea by now. Go and watch a live Brood War game. Man, I tell you what, I love watching professional Brood War, but it's just not the same without the crowds. Okay, well, the treasuries pushed through one spot 5. So I guess we could have held that. I'm kind of glad that I didn't. I'm sitting here wondering now. Well, there's a pretty good move down. Happened at 7:30. We actually are coming into 45 minutes since it happened. So could we get another side of the meta order? It's very much possible. And since the 30-year is extending here, but it is really, wow. I mean, like in the 5-year is still within its range, but the 30-year just got creamed, absolutely creamed there. I really would like to know what is going on here. Should I still be long? I don't know, guys. This is where I keep saying, like, when I do get them, I should be pushing harder. I took on a little bit of risk there, but now it's like, should I really be trying to let it ride? And I can't, I just can't for the life of me. My decision to take it off there was a little bit fickle. And then after I did it, then I came up with all the reasons like why that was a good reason. Now I think those were good reasons, but now that those are over, now it's like, well, should I be getting back in? But I just can't start. Like I want to be in. I want to be in, but I don't really have a real a really good reason to want to be in, other than that it's moving down and I don't want to miss the trend, you know? No, not North Korea, South Korea. Come on. I don't play Brood War in North Korea. Jeez. Wasn't the pandemic, maybe I would go. I would have to learn the language. Or Taiwan. I would like to go to Taiwan too. I know a little bit of Chinese. For me to really, really learn Chinese, I think I'd have to get really dedicated here. Because I'm getting to the point where I think I understand most of the, well, not most of the grammar, but like from a basic level, like because the stuff that the applications is giving me is like more advanced grammar kind of stuff. But memorizing all the words in Chinese is like a nightmare, man. Like those tests that you have to take to be able to go to school in China, are insane. The number of characters and stuff you got to memorize is crazy. Yeah, so if I had stayed in that trade, that would have been another $20 right there. You say ZT isn't even out of bed yet? Well, you're right. The 2 years barely budged. How big of a move was this in the 30-year? Maybe 4 or 5 basis points. But we're still to the point. So one of the things that I'm seeing here is like we did extend further, but I'm not actually seeing the flow. Excuse me. Hold on a second. I'm not actually really seeing strong flow in the 10-year, right? It was mostly in the 30-year, and the 30-year is bouncing here. So, if the 10-year could still get sucked back up into 17 and still be in that liquidity hole. There's a pretty strong steepener that came through there, though. But I just don't see anything. It's a strong move. And I can only say that it's the day before a really big holiday weekend. Like in reality, this is like the last trading day of the year, right? Like this is the final stream that we're gonna do. We'll stream again on well, actually, when will it be? When will we stream again? When will we stream again? On the 3rd. So we'll be back on the 3rd. You know, markets sometimes do interesting things ahead of those holidays, don't they? But I'm still stuck at, is it gonna go more? And I can't say. I really can't say. So I'm just stuck out. The original trade wasn't bad though. Like I definitely saw something happening in the order flow and ran with it, and I was able to identify the correct location where it was going to turn as well. I think that when you get those really strong moves, it actually becomes a little bit easier in some ways for me to see where the bounce is going to be, because it kind of happens slowly. There's sometimes where it'll come down and it there'll be like a liquidity hole there at 17, and I'll be thinking, well, maybe it could be there, and then all of a sudden it like completely retraces the move before I can, and I'm just feel flat-footed. By that time they gave me plenty of time, and now I'm like, I should have waited. Oh well. $10, $20. I don't know if I would have gotten the one spot 505, but we could be hitting it into one spot 5 here if we wanted to. Now let's remember, by the way, that at the bottom of the hour we've got the natural gas stocks, which I'm not like expecting some crazy number or anything like that, but natural gas is moving pretty big today, moving down, and that's those numbers are probably going to be highly watched. So we keep an eye on that. Markets overall, I'm just looking over here. The S&P 500, it continues its slow march up in holiday trading. It still looks kind of not very broad based to me, unfortunately. But hey, that's the way it is. Oh, I can hear the garbage can outside. I was like, what the heck is that? Also, gold was getting absolutely plastered there, but they reached 1800 and bounced pretty hard in gold. So that's really encouraging in gold, don't you think? Also, Bitcoin was showing a little bit of weakness earlier today. Uh, it has since turned around, but really, Bitcoin is unusually constrained today. They've been moving a lot more. The volatility in Bitcoin is down quite a bit for some reason. Oh, and what about oil? Where's oil here? Oil has just kind of been all over the place, but at 73 is not bad. Anything other currencies going on here? Oh, there was a move in the British pound, in the Swissy. Well, I don't know. Overall, the biggest thing that I'm seeing here is that since the S&P 500 has opened up, the dollar has been plastered. So, if I really zoom in here, you can kind of see when this started. Okay, the treasuries actually seemed to have moved before the majority of that move in the dollar moved. That's curious. So I think I'm gonna chalk that up as evidence possibly behind our currency move theory. And the currency move may just be based off of them moving money around before the holiday, because that tends to be what happens for currencies is uh they move them before the weekend. There's some pretty consistent moves that happen on that. Maybe we should do a study on that, because it seems like they do consistent things on weekends. And maybe that's why I get screwed up in the treasuries on Fridays so often. Oh, okay. New home sales jumped to 7-month high despite massive downward revisions. Okay. So that's something about that piece of news that we didn't quite know. But I would still say that the market action has been kind of a little lackluster the news, since that news release, rather. Oh man. Oh, it's so. Have you guys seen the new Spider-Man movie? It was so good. I was like, sounds like it's gonna be a good movie. But then I watched it and I'm like, this is possibly the best Marvel movie they made. Actually, what is it on Rotten Tomatoes? How well did that actually review? Because I just thought it was great. I love how Rotten Tomatoes kind of has their front page all changed up now because nobody was watching movies. Matrix Revolution's 69%. Ah. Wait, so where's Spider-Man? Did Spider-Man get? The hype was real, man. I went there totally expect, but that was okay. This is what I think is so unique about this movie. I mean, first of all, they brought back like the villains from the previous Spider-Man movies, and it because it was a collaboration between like two studios, that obviously that made it unique. But one of um the themes that they hit on in the movie over and over again is the girlfriend keeps saying, you know, don't expect anything good to happen. That way you're not disappointed. You can never be disappointed, right? You always expect the worst, and then no matter what happens, it's always better than what you expected, and so you'll always be happy. Um, and I think that this was like a meta sort of a thing. I think that the whole thing was they were trying to say like That's the way that fans, especially like nerd fans, comic book fans, and everything, have kind of approached a lot of things. Is that it's just going to be bad because so many things have been bad, but then this one, but sometimes it actually works out and things are really good. And I tell you what, that is a really crazy, gutsy move to make. Cause can you imagine if it had been bad, how much how much trash they would get for that, for putting that in their movie, you know? But oh my gosh, they just absolutely smashed it out of the park. And there are these points in the movie where, yeah, I'm gonna try to not spoil it for you, but I think you all know what's gonna happen, right? And there are points when like characters are introduced and there's interactions and stuff. It's it was almost like it was a sacred moment in the movie theaters. Like they were everybody was so into it. I felt like I was in church or something. It was an emotional moment. The way Toby's Peter said to Andrews, "Don't let anyone say you're bad, you're marvelous," because Andrews spite. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, it was uh, just everything about that movie was good. But the thing that I thought was the most interesting about it was that they made this whole meta theme in there about being disappointed and that sometimes things do work out. It was just so great. It was really good. You know, it's rare. So you know, another show that kind of does this sort of a thing. It's like a comment on movie making itself, right? Like sometimes we make comments about society and people or a political event or something, but some works are making more criticisms or comments about the movie industry itself. And it's really rare that I've seen a work like that where they were making that kind of point and it was really good. And often when that does happen, I feel like that people misunderstand it because maybe they don't like have the context to know what's going on. So like a really good example of that is like Neon Genesis Evangelion. A lot of what Neon Genesis Evangelion was doing was it was kind of like a synopsis of what was going on in anime in the anime industry at the time. And but it was also kind of mixed up with what well, at least that's the way that it started. And then as the series went on, Anno started putting out his depression into it as well. So a lot of people misunderstand some of the things that are going in that because they think that he was meaning to say this when really if you understood the culture and the context around it, you realize that oh, he was definitely was really more going for this. And it just kind of turned into that. But this one is one where like I think everybody that was watching it probably got it. Like, oh man, we were so excited for some of these Spider-Man movies and they were so awful, right? What I got out of the trailer is you only pay for what you need. What do you mean by that? Hmm. One of the things that was really cool about it too, um, spoilers, right? Um, is that this Spider-Man basically fixes all of the villains. Like all of the villains essentially get a happy ending. It's super great. It's super great. You guys are famous for cheering much, ain't it? Being called clapper Americans, but I think Brazilians cheered the most. Still, I couldn't listen. I couldn't hear crap in most of the big characters reveal scenes. There was definitely a little bit of clapping when some of the big character reveals happened. You know what is the other thing that just this is the thing that I think really truly like ties it all together. Like overall it was like a good movie, right? But then there's this one thing that I think really truly made it like went from like oh great crossover to like possibly one of the greatest movies of all time is the actors were better in this movie than they were in their own movies, right? Like Spider-Man 2 was considered like the better Spider-Man movie, right? And Dr. Octopus was really good and people like Tobey Maguire in it. Dr. Octopus was so good in No Way Home, in the new Spider-Man. It was so good. And then the Green Goblin. Oh my gosh. I'm having a brain spasm here because I can't remember the name. William Dafoe. William Dafoe was so insanely good in that movie. Oh my gosh. Like in the first movie, in the movie that he was in, you know, he just kind of stole the show, and it was all like William. And yeah, William Dafoe is underrated, right? In this one, like they knew what they had and they ran with it, and he was so good. The Liberty Mutual Spider-Man skin. It was a good movie. Glad I watched it. Now I need to go and watch The Matrix, even though, you know, it's not. Even though The Matrix isn't reviewing very well. Okay, they gave it 94%. I think 94% is appropriate. Oh, right. The way the characters participate in Tom's Spidey development as well. Yeah, it is. It actually is really, that's a really good point. Oh, that is such a good point. Is like, you know, there's kind of been there's been a development with that Spider-Man character through this series overall. A lot of it being that he's really a kid and he makes a lot of really dumb mistakes, right? But it really culminated here in that Tom Spider-Man like made really big strides in character development, largely because of the other Spider-Man characters. I also think that they did such a good job of just like I don't know how Disney freaking does this, but Disney is so good at this now. They know what fans want, and they know what fans will react emotionally to, and they just 100% play to it, and they do such a good job. The Marvel universe in particular does such a good job with that. Like think about in the Avengers Endgame or whatever it was, when they went back in time and everything, and then Captain America picks up Thor's hammer, right? And people would just like went absolutely like, oh my gosh, that's so, yeah, right. That's why Disney and Marvel in particular seems to be so good at that right now. And they even picked it up. They were doing that in The Mandalorian too, right? When Luke, when they reveal Luke, such a good job, and it really it pulls your emotions. They get the emotion that they want out of you. And then, but then there was like the Star Wars sequels, and like they screwed that stuff out so absolutely terribly. And I'm sitting here like, why was it that in the Star Wars sequel they failed so hard at that, but in the Marvel movies they've been so good at it? It's kind of curious to me. I'm looking out Encanto. I watched Encanto and I didn't think it was that. They gave it a 91%, and I kind of felt like it was like a B tier movie. I mean, it was well done, but the story just wasn't that interesting to me. OG Spider being on his own and taking responsibilities, yeah. Well, it does make you wonder where they're going to take it from here. Are they gonna? Well, they kind of did a little bit of hinting that Venom is in a different universe, and now Venom is in their universe, and they kind of teased that. So maybe that's where that goes. Is maybe the next the next stage here is fighting Venom. Ever since Disney took over Star Wars, it blows. It's gone woke times 10. Yeah, is it just that it was it really all just Kathleen Kennedy is why Star Wars failed so badly? Because Marvel doesn't have these same problems. And like here's the thing is that like the Marvel universe has woke stuff in it. Yeah, some of those movies had woke things. Like Black Panther was really woke, right? And that was a good movie. I guess it was a little bit more than woke, but maybe that's a bad example. Because the other one was the Eternals. That was apparently really, really woke, and everybody hated that. And what was the other one? The one with Brie Larson in it. Ugh. Miss Marvel or whatever it was. That one was a garbage fire too. I'm not convinced that it's merely the wokeness though. I think it has more to do with like um the emotional connection that people have or form with characters in movies and the stories that they're trying to tell and the lessons that they're trying to go through. And um wokeness often often the way that you make something woke is you subvert expectations, right? You come in and you say, well, this male hero kind of sucks. Like that's what they did in Star Wars, right? Is they just absolutely massacred Luke's character. It was so terrible. And that, why did they do that? And it really does feel to me like that was a woke approach that they did that with, right? It's kind of weird to me. I'm not an art person. I'm not a filmmaker or anything like that, but I sure do love talking about movies. I don't know. Now I'm trying to think through my head. Is there an example of a movie that went quote unquote woke and was really well liked? Because I can't really think of think of it. Well, so let me take a step back here, and I'll tell you why I'm kind of going down that line of thinking. Cowboy Bebop. So I do not feel that Cowboy Bebop was trying to be woke or anything like that. They did make some changes to the characters. Like, so one of the big complaints was that the main female character's costume was not the same as it was in the anime, which was very revealing. And I can kind of understand how it would be more practical to have a regular costume, and that's kind of fine. Okay, whatever. So I don't think that that one was necessarily them going woke. I think that there was just them trying to be practical. But the Cowboy Bebop was so absolutely terrible. I mean, really like top 5 biggest series disasters of all time. It's right up there with like Dexter and Game of Thrones, right? Like it probably goes Game of Thrones, Dexter, Cowboy Bebop. it was just that bad. And why was it that bad? Well, it seems to me, nah, when we say woke, we're really talking about specifically the social justice warrior type of um the people that are literally saying that um the premise of society is based on male part patriarchy, and the oppressors and the oppressed and the oppressors need to be dethroned and all that sort of stuff. That's woke. That's wokeness. Anyways, did the people that made Cowboy Bebop, did they like even watch the anime? Did they not like the anime? Or were they just like they were looking for a director and this person needed a project and they're like, sure, I'll take it on. And then they watched the series like one time didn't read anything online about it or look into why it was so good, and then they just made it or something, because it really was like, man, they totally missed the whole series. Like, I can understand, because Cowboy Bebop is like a really subtle show. There is like points where it's really slow. There are a lot of plot points that are happening in the background, and you don't really realize that they're happening until you get to the end and you realize, oh, and then you go back and you rewatch it. And more importantly, the characters are really interesting in Cowboy Bebop, and people love the characters. But they're not just like characters like they just come up with this. No, like there's reasons why they are the way that they are, because they've been traumatized and are all essentially running away from their past, and that's really kind of like the real theme of this series. Like Spike, he's cool and laid back, but I think the reason he's so cool and laid back is because he he's practically suicidal. He doesn't really care if he ends up dying from all this stuff. Uh, I don't think that the makers of that series got that at all. And there's some other things that, like there's things that I didn't notice, but like other fans noticed about the original series. So for instance, did you know that the main character Spike is intended to be Jewish in the original anime series? Main character is actually Jewish. And he has a gun that is made by Israelis, and there's a couple of other things in there that kind of show that he was Jewish. And I don't think that the people that made the anime series knew that. No, that's not what it is. GT350. I'm glad you don't like Dexter. People love it, and I could care. I've never, to be honest with you, I've never watched it. Um, I just know that the fans of this series absolutely hated the final season. Yeah, the original Cowboy Bebop was incredible. It really is a good show. But man, it's just like the way that the live action Cowboy Bebop series ends is, to anybody that loved the original Cowboy Bebop series, it's like insulting. Okay, so what happens is, in the original, girlfriend dies, Spike goes and seeks revenge, and both of them die in the process. There's some argument about whether Spike actually dies, but I think he dies. Okay. Um, in the live action series, the girlfriend doesn't die. She's still alive, and Spike has and Vicious have their big battle, and Vicious wins, actually. And then the girlfriend comes and shoots Vicious and saves Spike. So Vicious doesn't die by Spike's hand. He dies by the girlfriend, or I guess he's Spike, Vicious's wife at that point. And so then everything's cool, right? Like now they can elope and run off and be happy, and the whole thing that was supposed to happen from the beginning, or that they wanted to have happen. But instead, the girlfriend wants to take over the syndicate. And when Spike refuses to do that, she shoots him. And you're watching this train wreck as it happens, and you're just like, what the heck is wrong with these people that would make them think that this would be an okay ending? Like, what the heck? Did you not understand the original show, or did you like hate the original show? Maybe that's what it is. They hated the original show and they think that they're going to make it better somehow. I just don't understand how they could fail. I mean, because they gave them everything, right? They had like a good budget and good actors and everything. I just don't get how they could have failed worse with that one, right? And it wasn't necessarily because they were woke. It was like they didn't understand the source material, and I think that is maybe why wokeness ends up being bad. Because, so going back to GT350's comment here, wokeness is just people that never made the school team, to blame everybody from their shortcomings, sad times. I don't really think that that's it. I think wokeness is this: Wokeness is that some people have been some people's lives are easier than other people's, and the people whose lives are easy should have their lives be made hard, and the people whose lives are hard should be made easy. Um, and essentially, what this all comes down to is they want socialism and communism, and they haven't been getting it. And the only way that you're going to get socialism or communism in the United States, you're not going to get it by pushing ideas and having better ideas and having a more effective system of government. So instead, you would basically just have to do whatever it is to get yourself in power. So anybody that has the power, we have to take them out, and everybody that doesn't have the power, we have to put them in. And that's the simple. That's as simple as it is. So, in my view, the woke people are no. That's it's not centrist at all. Wokeness, but at the heart, wokeness is, um, you know, equalizing between it. It's the wokeness is the dynamic between oppressed and oppressor, and trying to give power to the oppressed. Okay, that's what wokeness is about. So and essentially they have taken a strategy which is we're going to do whatever it is to give the power to the oppressed, which means that they end up taking positions that are completely nonsensical. So for instance, the one they're saying, we need to get rid of math grades, right? This is probably the best example of this. It's so dumb. It's like this is so harmful to society, right? But they're always going to do whatever it is that they think gives more power to the oppressed people. And if the people that are getting bad grades, if that's preventing them from getting into higher schools and getting stronger positions or whatever the deal is, then you're going to change that so that more of them can get that, right? It's pretty it- it's actually scary consistent, right? Like you can predict what the woke left is going to do really easily, um when you work with that framework, right? So what that means is that if you're picking up an existing IP, the existing IP is always going to be the one in power, and therefore you have to subvert or undermine the thing that's in power, and that's why their wokeness ends up typically being so bad in movies. I'm sure that there are movies that were, from the very get go were supposed to be woke and maybe did well, but it's not even GT. I don't even think it's envy, dude. I don't think that they think in those terms. All it's power. It's not envy, it's power. It's an acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement of how power works in a society, and it is a radical take on how to obtain power. Is really what it comes about. It's not like maybe some of them there are like that. Okay, but like here's the thing: who are the most woke? Who are the most woke people? Because you know what? It's not the people that are actually oppressed. That's the crazy thing about it, right? Is that the people that are actually oppressed are not behaving like this way, right? It's like the people that are the most woke are like these um white Karens, right? They're like white women, and a lot of really rich guys, right? It's people that already have a lot of power in the system, believe it or not, right? It, it's not driven primarily by envy, although I think a lot of people are drawn to it from that. No, it's about power. It's this is how to get power, essentially. And we want the people that don't have power to have the power. It's 100% about power. And that's the only explanation for how they behave, because they always do what is going to give them the most power. That's going to take the power away from the people that have it and give it to the people that don't. The corporate left, I don't know if there is a corporate left. There's just There's just corporate, and they have a large influence over everybody. They are people who are targeted, advertised to by Hollywood entertainment shows, maybe. Anyways, but well, this is why the woke left is I think so dangerous, is because their approach to power. Because um, if that's your philosophy, what do you think those people are going to do when they actually have power? Right? They're not going to wield it responsibly. No, no. They're going to use their power to continue to consolidate their power and to oppress everybody else. Because ultimately what they're about is power. By the way, the tenure is kind of pushing the downside of this again. There's still a pretty nasty hole around 17, 16 half. The 30-year would probably have to drive this if we were going to get another move. Oh, by the way, we missed the natural gas stocks change. It does look like natural gas is recovering a little bit, but it's pretty insignificant compared to the. You get into more arguments with center left than with progressives. The thing is that there's actually a very small percentage of people that really believe in the woke narrative. But what happened was they were really loud. They were able to fool a lot of people initially. And a lot of the ones that are the most woke have very significant positions in the entertainment industry. But Americans as a whole do not buy into the woke narrative at all. So, one of the things that you're seeing in the Democrat Party is you're seeing this woke left, like, I would say that people like AOC are kind of on the fringe of the woke left. Okay. They're not 100% woke, but they're kind of on the fringe of it, where they're heavily influenced by the woke left, at least. And those people are very much driving the Democrat Party because Nancy Pelosi has basically let them, right? Any other, I don't think that people understand the way that things work in the House of Representatives and the Senate, and how much power the speakers have, and how much that actually affects the political climate and the culture and everything else. Okay, so any other member would be like, well, okay, I have these radical people. They are a part of my caucus. I want them to feel like they're a part of my caucus, but I'm basically going to have to temper them because they're going to be a huge liability to my party, right? So think about Michelle Bachmann, for instance, is probably the best example on the right of somebody that was just a little out there compared to the rest of the party. And so what did the GOP do? The party as a whole intentionally marginalized her. It was quite surprising that she ended up having as much power as she did. Okay. But what Nancy Pelosi has done is instead has leaned into those people. And she's continued to give those people more power and committee assignments and a lot of attention in the party. As they say, well, because they're getting the media attention and we want to run with it. And so as a result, the Democrat Party has become very dominated by woke politics, even though the majority of the constituents probably don't agree with their principles of wokeness. Like, people on the left are going to say that obviously everybody's civil rights should be protected, let's say, and that we should try to give everybody a fair chance, and that people that have been historically oppressed, that we should have programs and things to try and help them out. But they're not like full on woke, you know? And this is why I feel that the Democrat Party is doing so absolutely terrible right now, is because the leaders Well, and here's another point about this that allows them to do that. Um, and this is going to be something that the Democrats really are not going to want to hear, but it's so fucking true. Oh my gosh, it's so true. Everybody always bashes the GOP for going along with Donald Trump, saying you're all just brainwashed idiots and you're just letting this literal Hitler get away with anything. Okay. If anybody gives deference to their leaders, it's the Democrats. Nobody ever questions what Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer is doing. Nobody ever questions what Joe Biden is doing. They always get in line. They don't criticize. They just go along with it 100%. So when Joe Biden comes out and says, well, our new bill will reduce inflation, which is just an absolutely preposterous claim. Inflation wasn't a problem when they wrote this bill, and it certainly wasn't a factor in any of the decisions. And for them to come out and say that this is actually deflationary when it's just what the largest spending spree in American history is just, it really strains credibility, right? But do you see anybody on the left calling that out at all? No, nor is anybody in the media calling that out, because the media basically plays defense for the Democrats constantly, which means that you're not allowed to question the Democrat leaders, right? So, because the leaders in the Democrat Party have so much power, it has created a dynamic in the Democrat Party where they are able to push the politics that is very, very far from what Democrats actually want. And it has finally gotten to a point, and it was here with Joe Biden. Because you know what's going on with Joe Biden? It's not just like everybody thinks that Joe Biden's not a very good president. Like he got out of Afghanistan and that was a disaster, and we've been creating inflation and that was a disaster, and all of those sorts of things. No, it's that when the Democrats got in power, what did they do? Did they implement all of the policies that the people wanted? Are they pushing to try and do the things that Democrats voters really truly care about? Well, the reality is that whenever the Democrats get a chance to be in power, they don't do what the voters want at all. They tell the voters things. They play these games, tell the voters what they want to do. They say, "Oh yes, we can spend all of this money. Oh yes, we can totally destroy the corporations and all of these things." But then when they get into office, they know that none of these things are practical. They know that you can't just come in and like destroy corporate America in one day. Like that would destroy the economy, right? I'm not on a rant today. It's just they brought up a good subject, and I think that this is a really good framework to understand what's kind of going on here, right? They they tell the voters one thing, and then they do something else because what they're telling the voters is impractical. Okay. And it's really starting to become obvious to people, especially with this bill, because first of all, there's no way that the bill's going to get passed. But then, even then, I don't really feel like that the bill really has the things that Democrat voters really care about and want in there, right? So what's happening is they're realizing that like that the Democrat Party is like a fraud at this point. I think another really good example is like, okay, Democrats view themselves as progressive and that they have all of these new policies that are going to make society better. Okay. So if that's the case, then we should be able to go to places where Democrats have complete control over everything. And we should be able to see that they implemented these policies and see how beneficial it was to the people of that local area, right? And when you go in and you do the analysis, what you find is that when Democrats are completely unopposed, they don't actually implement those things. They don't do it. They're all talk. Because the reality is that the actual implementation of those policies would be so negative for the stakeholders in that area that the politicians just don't have the will to actually pull it through. So maybe when they're running for office they really believe these things, but they're not practical, and their constituents are starting to notice. Their constituents are starting to realize that like they're being lied to, that they're being told things just to get in power, kind of like what happened to the Republicans. What's happening in the Democrat Party is similar to what happened to the Republicans back when Mitt Romney was running. Is everybody all of a sudden everybody in the party realizes that their leaders are full of shit. Must admit, Pelosi is a really good. Well, her husband is, yeah. They because yeah, the Democrats are so pitiful they can barely get a bill passed with all three branches of government. But again, like the thing is, it's not that they're incompetent. It's that it's actually truly a bad idea. Right? Like it's truly such a bad idea, and they probably know it. And that's why they don't ever actually pass this stuff. And that's why I think you're seeing a lot of so what is the fix for the Democrat Party in this instance? I'm gonna tell you what the fix is. Get rid of Nancy Pelosi. You've got to get rid of the progressive left, and you need to go back to what the left was, because the left of like Bill Clinton was, or of JFK, maybe even if we want to go that far back, is really really strong, and is going to have the tendency to beat the Republicans most of the time, just simply because it is more in line with what the majority of Americans think, right? But for some reason they've let themselves get like lazy, because they've always kind of had the advantage on the Republicans. And I really think that a lot of it, like, think about just the Democrat Party. Ever since Nancy Pelosi became speaker, they've had problems, right? And the only times during that period when they didn't really have problems was when there was another leader that was stronger than her, which was Barack Obama. Barack Obama was actually a pretty effective leader in those respects. But now that it's gone back to Nancy Pelosi is the most powerful Democrat again, then you start to have problems again, and the party as well. So if you're a Democrat, what's the fix? You've got to get rid of Nancy. And it's just that if you get rid of Nancy, probably they're going to trend back more towards the traditional Democrats, right? Because then we get into all these other things, like Democrats have some natural advantages in certain things. For instance, the base of the Republican Party has ideas about economics that are just dumb. Like, they're frankly just dumb. You've got like the gold bug crazies and the end the Fed crazies, and the libertarian wing. There are some of these people they're just absolutely completely disconnected with economic reality, and the Democrats can really capitalize on that. But when you're pushing these other woke ideas like out and out socialism, then you lose the argument. You see? Anyways, I don't know if I'm really going anywhere further than that. I'm just kind of ranting on that one. Pelosi being a good stock picker. So here's my argument with Pelosi being a good stock picker. This is proof that the best edge is an informational edge, right? So again, I don't understand. Somebody explain this to me. Why do retail traders insist, absolutely insist, on making their whole trading career on technical analysis, when it is so abundantly clear from all the information that we have that informational edge is more important? Like, if I'm trading stocks, we should be trying to find information about a stock that would be pertinent that other people haven't noticed. You know, something something that we can see that's public that might tell us about non-public knowledge, right? The company's earnings is an important metric. If we can go and we can find a piece of public information that will help us see what the non-public information is going to be before it comes out, that is an insane edge. Why aren't retail traders spending all of their time looking for that? They spend all of their time looking for technical analysis. Is it just people's natural inclination? So I'm starting to wonder if that's not the case. And I'm thinking informational edge being more pertinent means anything. Yes, it does. They could both be good. But again, given the choice between the two, why does everybody go to technical analysis? Because as far as I can tell, at least traditional technical analysis, like chart patterns and dojis and these sorts of things, or even let's call them let's maybe we should call them different generations. Generation 1 technical analysis was um Dow theory and Elliott waves, right? Generation 2 was like chart patterns, and generation 3 was basically Wilder, RSI, Bollinger Bands, that sort of a thing. And then I think we could take it further and say generation 4 was price action. Okay. So um because it's easier to use. Anyways, Gen 1 and Gen 2 technical analysis is very clear to me it doesn't work. Like it straight up doesn't work. Generation 3 technical analysis is probably did work at some point, but has been arbitraged away. And generation 4 technical analysis is, I think, just playing on words. It's marketing. It's marketing. Because it's not really actually a system. Right? It's easier to use. I really maybe like if it's because people have a natural tendency to do something, it's because they just don't want to learn things. It's like we were giving my wife a geography quiz yesterday. She couldn't. We're trying to identify where France was on a map, and she couldn't do it. I was like, "Did you not do geography?" So I was like, "Well, yeah, like I studied for it, and then I took the test, and then I forgot it." I was like, "Yeah, that probably is the way that most people work, isn't it?" She's probably not an outlier in that respect. And so people are doing the same thing with technical analysis. Kind of seems like it, yeah. They're doing technical analysis because it seems like it's easier. I can just go and I can learn all of these rules, and then I can just always follow these rules and make money. But they don't understand the competitive nature of markets, that any edge is going to get arbitraged away. You're competing with everybody else for that particular edge. And how are you going to do it? Are you going to take it earlier than everybody else? And then it's less likely to work because of that. You're not, it's just so much harder of a game. It's so much harder of a game. Doesn't make any sense. So to Keller's post, they could both be good, but the evidence is very clear that TA is not good. That's the thing. The majority of retail traders use technical analysis and fail with it. So what if we could live in a different world? What if we could live in a different world where the majority of day traders try to use informational edges and make their decisions based off of informational? I'm sure that the majority of retail traders would still lose money, but would it maybe be better? Would they maybe do better? My theory is that they would. My theory is that like right now, 95% of retail traders lose money. And if retail traders threw away their charts, that maybe it'd be like 70%. Which is more in line with what the math kind of suggests that it should be. Because with the math, you should expect people to lose money because of the spread, but not 95%. because of the spread and also because of the fat-tailed nature of it. 70% failure rate seems like more reasonable. Where traders need to cover helps with back pressure? I don't know. Do you think that the treasuries can break out of this range? There was a little bit more in that trade for us, but we did catch the spot. Well, so what happened here in this instance was we identified where the hole was really well, and we got out at the hole, but the interest rates were really sensitive, so we probably could have gotten out on more on the edge of the hole, and we didn't. And that's where the other 10, $20 could have come from. S&P 500 still looks great. Anyways, congressmen making so much money is a really strong indication that maybe technical analysis isn't the way to go. Just think about it. I tell you what, guys. When I look at what we're doing here, because sometimes you really have to wonder, right? Especially when you're losing money, you're making really bad decisions, things aren't going your way. Why am I doing this? And I'm starting to realize, like, because I really truly feel like a strong sense of purpose to be doing what I'm doing. And sometimes when you're losing money from it, you're kind of like wondering what's going on here. But I'm starting to realize that the purpose of me being here is more than just to make money doing it. Like, God didn't put me on this earth to make money from futures trading. He wanted me to do futures trading and learn how to do it because there's other more important things that we get from it, right? And this revelation that markets are not very informationally efficient, but they're somewhat technically efficient, I think is a realization that has large significance for society. The true nature of markets, if we as a society understood the true nature of markets, we would make different decisions. Because sometimes we just assume that the market is efficient, right? And that it doesn't matter what we as individuals do, um, the market's efficiency will win out in the end. But that's not really the case. In order for the market to be efficient, the market participants need to be trying to make the right decisions. Because if the market participants only go for what makes the most money, um, you're going to see lots of really dumb, crazy things happen. Because that's how you get Dogecoin. That's how you get Dogecoin. Is everybody just chasing after the money? Is having millions or billions of dollars parked in Dogecoin a positive thing for society? I say no. I say that that's money that could be put in real companies that could be generating real value, helping people make jobs and build things and generating new capital, right? Because this capital doesn't just come out of nowhere. I think everybody thinks that it just, of course, goods, somebody has to make goods. But people think that capital is just something that we make out of thin air, maybe because, the government has been printing so much money. But that's not the case. Capital comes from when we make goods, when we do things, right? That are useful and beneficial. So how we allocate that capital is really important. And we need to allocate that capital efficiently and effectively if we're going to, as a society, compete with China, for instance, right? We can't compete with China and be wasting all our money on shit like Dogecoin. You know, that we need to do better. And this is where I'm starting to realize, like, there's what, of course, making money is an important part of it. I think we're going to get there eventually. I think we're making big strides, and I need to, especially if I take out like the big mistakes, we're doing so well. Okay. But we've got to get this message out to society that yeah, like you need to invest wisely. Like everybody should be, you know, investing in individual companies based on understanding the companies and not just understanding the companies, but investing in companies that you want to see successful because you believe in their mission, because you believe in what they're trying to do. You know, God was a traitor. Would yet well if I knew that he was God, but I think that God would give me a 4-year statement. Your wish for Christmas is that Seth makes his ladder a wee bit larger. So do you mean you want the font to be bigger? Like here's the problem. I really wish that the size of all of these DOMs was the same as the 10-year here. But because we can't aggregate levels, they really can't do that in the ES. Like seriously, I can only see 10 points here. And we're talking about something that moves a whole 10 points in like, instantly in some instances here in the S&P 500. Like you just can't see enough with that DOM. It probably needs to be like top to bottom. We just don't have the space for that. I don't know. Like maybe if I was going to be like optimal, like well maybe I should just do it this way. Like I should get a fourth screen. And I don't think that anyone has level aggregation. Like you should be able to come in here, hold control and the scroll wheel and scroll out, and all of the sudden, instead of it being each level being a tick, each level would be like 5 points or something like that. Anyways, maybe what I should do is get another monitor, and then I'll have one screen that is just the 10-year treasury DOM, the ES DOM, and a big pretty chart. And that would be more attractive to people. And then I could have over here on my main window, I could be placing my trades, and you wouldn't even be able to see me place my trades anymore. Yeah, the ZF size is okay. It's the reason that the ES is the way that it is. Because here's a lot. I'll show you real quick. I could do this. Right. Instead of it being 9, I could say it's 14. Right. And now it's the same size as everything else. It's just that then I can't see enough levels. But when it moves around, I can't see what's going on. And if I was going to do that also, I would probably have to get rid of these other DOMs up here. Right. Because it'd take up so much space that, right. I guess I could still have the MES up, but I wouldn't be able to be showing you oil and everything else, which I don't think you guys particularly care. Like, here's the thing. If you need order flow, you should be watching it yourself, right? But this is good for replay. So for replay, having a lot of them up there is useful, and that's kind of why I've done it the way that I have. I don't know. I can't trade with that, but that's why I'm saying I could keep it really big and put it on another screen that's just for you guys. And that wouldn't be a bad way of approaching it, would it? It wouldn't be a bad way of approaching it at all, actually. I'm kind of wondering, because I got this camera here. I'm getting another camera soon. What I'm going to do with the old camera, if I'm just going to sell it or if I'm going to try and make use of it. Oh, and one of the things has been that, like, maybe I'll put the teleprompter back up there because I also have, like, the little screen. If I had the little screen, maybe I would look at the camera more often. But I could put on the little screen, not just me, but I could put that. That could be that fourth screen. You get what I mean? Let's see here. Oh, maybe you can do it in Quant Tower then. Can you do it with just a scroll wheel? Because that's the other thing is I want to be able to change it really quickly. Crude's not trading. Yeah, actually, it's been pretty tight in crude, hasn't it? Some other instruments have made some interesting moves. Like gold really got creamed when the interest rates were rising there, but somebody bought the dip. So gold is starting to behave differently, and I really think at some point, there's going to be gold bears are going to capitulate, and then gold could take off. Well, Jigsaw needs to make that feature. Jigsaw really needs to make that feature. Because in the S&P 500, with the way that it trades, I would prefer to have each level be a point. I just want to see the whole thing there, each level a point. I think that would be the better way of doing it. I think I'd be able to read what's going on easier. Oh, and leave you guys. I won't see you for a whole week. Oh, you show me on ES? That would be better. No, wait, what are you showing? That's not E. That's 4.7. Isn't that like natural gas or something? 4713 should be. Oh, well, it is 4.713. Oh, okay, maybe it is ES. I would want each one to be a whole point. I think that would be better. Mm-hmm. But alas, we live not in that world. I'm going to keep it at 9. And I'm going to tell you that if you really need to see that information, that you need to be paying for the data. I'm going to do it like that. Cool. But kind of goes back to that larger thing that's like what'll attract people to it the most. Because to be honest with you, there's like one or two of you that are probably actually watching the DOM on my screen, and at least when we're live. And you should be watching your own screen, right? There's there's actually a good number of people that come back and rewatch the flow after the fact, because watching it in video is just so much better. Right? But how many people are there that would look for that compared to the number of people that would prefer to just have a really nice chart, you know? But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter, because I still think that in the end, the people that watch live are probably just going to listen to the audio, which is why it's important we have good audio. And I think we have good audio. Yeah, I'm going to make it a little bit better. We're getting some more room treatment coming. Yeah, we're going to my sister's house for Christmas. And then next week, I will be using the time. I don't know if I'm going to record some videos next week or not. I should have my new camera next week, but I won't have my new room treatment next week. And so it kind of comes down to how badly I want the room treatment. But at the very least, I'll be like writing scripts and stuff like that. This is what I'm going to spend with that time. And TensorFlow. So I made some strides yesterday with TensorFlow. I got it working with using Docker containers to run it, so that they'll run faster and able to get like some of these examples working. So now I've kind of got to try and get what I've got in NinjaTrader working a little bit better. And I need to make an actual model for it. But I think that really comes down to like, I got to understand what they're doing with it, how they're using the tensors exactly for these neural network things. Okay. Anyways, I would really, I would really love to see these aggregated levels. Hey guys, I think we're done here. I will see you guys next year. Stay profitable, friends.